It's time again for Scorecard on the network service of Radio Nigeria. On Scorecard, we bring you a high-profile personality and authority to render account of his stewardship to the people. This is because public accountability promotes transparency in governance and wins the hearts of the people. Remember, the essence of public service is to improve the lives of the people. That is the essence of Scorecard. Today on Scorecard, we have another person on the hot seat. My name is Fubara Pepple, your moderator. His name resonates success, ambition, and innovation. An entrepreneur of high repute, he represents resilience and the abundant human resources of the Nigerian youths. When you come across his contributions to national development and indeed humanity, you are already giving testimony to the fact that there is still a bigger hope to Nigeria from the youths. You may be correct to call him the pride of Nigeria, a leader by specialization providing solutions to the challenge of shelter. We're happy to welcome Chief Andy ELEREWE to Scorecard. Chief Andy, as he's fondly called, was born in Ose, Ondo State, Nigeria. He's a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University. He thereafter proceeded to the University of Chichester, UK, for his MBA, Masters in Business Administration. A Nigerian real estate entrepreneur and the founder of IBEN Investment and Properties Limited. He was awarded Young Entrepreneur of the Year by Nigeria Union of Journalists, recognition of excellence in construction by Nigerian Society of Engineers, and received the Leeds Africa Merit Award of Excellence from the League of African Development Students, Leeds Africa. He is one of Nigeria's finest entrepreneurs and the founder of IBEN Investment and Properties Limited, the first contemporary Nigerian construction company with branches in over 6 African countries. Due to his investment and commitment to the real estate sector, he was recognized amongst the top 5 real estate major players in Nigeria in 2021. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Project Managers, Chartered Institute of Management Consultants, and several others. Chief Andy ELEREWE, a high-profile leader of those who specialize in finding solutions to shelter in Nigeria. So why did you decide to go that way?
Thank you for having me on your program. I used to be the National Vice Chairman of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, REDAN, until February this year, when the election was held and the new person is right in the positions. Listeners, I am excited to be on this program to share a few ideas with you about housing. I'm always very excited when it comes to housing, really. All right, so your question was, why did I decide to go into housing,
yes.
Right? All right, so basically, housing is a basic necessity of life, apart from the fact that I've always had passion for real estate. You know, it's something that I love so well. You know, I love interior, I love building. I love to add a lot to the environment, you know, generally, you know. And then on the other flip, it's also very necessary. It's one sector that provides so much, you know, apart from the fact that it helps to generate employment. It's one of those ways that can catapult you in terms of making money. It's a very stable business. It gives residual income in the long run, and it also helps to add value to you generally. And, you know, I tell you, virtually, if you look around the world, almost everyone that has been successful, they have something to do with real estate one way or the other. And it's something I've come to find out. And then that, again, has also spurred me to, you know, want to always have something to do with the sector, really. Then again, when I look inward, I realized that we've always had problems of housing in Nigeria, you know. It won't be out of place for me to want to contribute my quota to that sector.
I agree with you, because anybody you see now, I'm a realtor, all over the place.
Exactly.
But how would you describe the situation of housing in Nigeria?
Well, to be honest with you, it's not much of a pleasant one. It's laced with so many issues, you know, apart from the issues of the ethics of not building house properly. You know, we have a lot of deficits. We have a situation where we only have 2 or 3 cities in the country that people are flocking into. And then that, of course, always shoot up the demand side of the business. If you look at the value chain, you always have people who are in need of houses almost at every point in time, especially within the cities. You come to Abuja, for instance, people keep pouring in. If you go to Lagos, and then maybe a few of them Port Harcourt. So it's a big issue, seriously skewed and lopsided. We have a situation where the urban drive is huge, and then that will continue to catapult the deficit. So in Nigeria currently, we have a situation where the houses are not enough. And then again, people's income can't even meet their basic need, how much more buying a house. And the mortgage is not being provided by government. And then the capital, the wherewithal to really build houses is not also there. We have issues with land administration in Nigeria, which we've been battling with. It's been a recurrent issue. The Land Use Act is seriously faulted. We're looking for how we can revamp and rejig it and all. So basically, there have been problems, and then, but that's not to say that it's all bad. We also have a lot that we have been able to do. We are really evolving. There are new entrants into the industry who have taken it as a matter of necessity to ensure that houses are being provided. The private sector, I think from my own point of view, developers are really doing a whole lot.
You've said that is cumbersome, really. It's lopsided. But year in, year out, the government of Nigeria seems to have policies, structures they say are on the ground to ensure you hear housing for all, whether you're a low-income earner, middle-income earner, from the high class. But it hasn't been any noticeable change. Where do you think the problem lies?
Well, to be honest with you, it's just like what is happening to other sectors. Governments, they are very fond of, churning out policies without backing them up practically and all that. Successive governments have always come up with their own idea of how houses can be provided to the populace without ensuring that the basic things are provided. The problems are there. The problems is that, do we have mortgages? No, we don't have. We can't provide mortgages because governments have not been able, they don't have the capital to back up some of these things. And then the perennial issue of land administration has not also been resolved. If you go to states, it's even worse. We have a serious dichotomy between the Omoniles and the government of the day. Who is the real owner of titles? You can't be too sure. Even here, every day you hear of houses being demolished.
I was going to come to
exactly,
that. Look at all the things happening in FCDA.
Yeah,
the man there now has been suspended.
Exactly,
but does it solve the problem?
That's exactly what I say. What exactly led to the issue? Why is it that people, as much as it's bad for people to jump into land without due process or without having, the requisite documents that you need to build houses, then how can we go around it? The houses are not enough. And then we have so much shortage. Yet, we still have a lot of houses that are badly defected. Government still need to demolish some of these houses, maybe because they are not properly planned and all of that. So the issues are all there. But do we have a situation where the parties on the other side can sit down with the developers and even the so-called users of this house, where we'll have a forum, and then all of us will sit down and then look at these issues critically to find long-lasting solutions to this problem?
So it is that discussion that is lacking.
It's really lacking. I think for me, there's a disconnect, a very serious one, from the angle of the government. Governments are faced with this big problem of housing deficit, all right? And then the developers, too, cannot get money or capital to build these houses at an affordable rate. So we now have a gulf. Those who need the houses, even when they desperately like the house, they can't afford it because obviously it's way beyond their reach. All right, so what do? If you look at the tripartite parties, there's just no way they can form a coalition. They can't come together to really nip these issues by the bud, So for me, I think it's until when government starts seeing it as a very critical issue, as a national issue, whereby they can really face it headlong and then see it as something that can actually, apart from increasing our GDP, providing employment, ensuring the ecosystem, and then even security, because a well-planned environment is a basic necessity for security.
Okay, let me borrow the words of an ancient mariner poem by Taylor Coleridge. It says, water, water everywhere, none to drink. So it's like houses everywhere, but none to live in. So many developers, but yet people cannot afford most of the houses. Those houses are empty and they could stay empty for a long while. What is it to bridge the gap between developers and affordability of houses to make the houses not empty again?
Okay, so we need to understand the basic fact, that we're in a city here. This is not a suburb or a rural area where lands could be gotten cheap or where materials to build houses could be cheap and all that. The reality is that if we are serious about having affordable housing, because affordable in itself is relative. What exactly is affordability? Are you talking about the house being so cheap that you want to build some kind of palliative houses for people? Because if you must build standard houses, then government must be ready to subsidize it. How would they do that?
No.
They can come up with policies. I am not saying they should bring finance to bail out the situation. No, they can create policies that will end up reducing costs. One of the ways is to lower tariffs on building related materials. And then again to deregulate some sectors of the industry. For instance, cement. So we can't continue in a situation where cement will only be provided, but just 4 of them. Why must it be some of these individuals, I don't want to mention them, that will be the one to sell cement? Why can't government? In other climes, that's what they are doing. Do you get? I'm so happy with what this Thai company, CDK, sorry I have to mention their name, I am very impressed with them. And then you can see what has happened. They came in, they brought in quality. I'm not one of their directors, but I tell you, they've been able to help without them knowing. They have been able to help the tile industry. That's why you can see Nigerian tiles now. People are now using Nigerian tile locally, and it's doing very well. It's competing relatively well with tiles from Italy, from Spain. And then we are very happy. It has also helped to lower the cost. So if you must lower the cost, if people must have affordable houses, you understand, government has to be part of the whole thing. Right from the aggregate, we have that's the chippings, the dust that is being used, to the cement that is being used, they have to be part of it. Licenses of people who carry quarry materials, they have to reduce it. So tariffs that they get from quarry, if you go to quarry now, the price of quarry keeps shooting up almost on weekly basis. This is translating into cost of houses because quarry provides not just a whole lot. The stones that you use, the dust that you use are all gotten from quarry mines. Do you get? If you can help to subsidize aggregate materials from this quarry, and then cement by setting up your own cement factory or buying share in some of the existing cement factories so that the prices can be well controlled or brought down, that is, you've taken a huge part of it.
So it's not just about government saying we're going to build houses in states to provide affordable houses for people, because I hope you know that's what the government is currently doing. Through the National Housing Fund.
Yes.
That's something. Even the president's last speech, he still talked about building affordable houses for Nigerians. They should now go beyond that to looking at subsidizing the materials. Okay, so as somebody in the housing business, you're already advocating for what should be done, but do you have any plan to ensure affordable houses for Nigerians?
Okay, so I keep saying affordability is relative. It depends on the lens you're looking at it from. What is affordable to one person might be very expensive to the other person, isn't it? Okay, so for me, it depends on the business or the segment of the business or property that you are in. Some people are in the high-end market. Some are in the medium scale market, and while some are in the low market. That's what probably you're talking about, affordable housing. Don't forget that affordable housing is different from social housing. So I'm trying to see if that's what you try to mean. Because if you say social housing, where people will pay almost a peanut and then get the houses then to pay in a lot, that's what they do. China, everywhere, government build these houses, they build these high rises, condominium houses, and then allow their citizens to get these houses almost at nothing, and then they probably pay in a lifetime. We're doing that at some point. We did that in Lagos, But you see, we are confronted with so much problem right now. Government is battling with so much. The finance is not there. Because we've let so much things not being done in a long time. So they are relying on private sector to deliver these things for them. So, quick one. Affordability in its real sense is relative.
Okay.
So for me, I'm in the business of providing houses, depending on how I bought it or how I built it, and I'm going to sell based on how I built it.
Okay. You're listening to Scorecard on the network service of Radio Nigeria, and we have Chief Andy ELEREWE, an entrepreneur and leader in the housing development sector. Let's take a break. Are you looking for an estate company that will give you a home and not just a house? Look no further. IBEN Properties Limited is that estate developer, a company that builds world-class homes in Nigeria and Africa. At IBEN Properties Limited, we're transparent, we have top professionals, and we give our customers the homes they're happy with. Our team combines innovation, strategic thinking, and a deep understanding of the real estate market to ensure that IBEN Properties Limited remains a leader in the industry. Whether you're looking for your dream home, a secure investment, or prime commercial property, IBEN Properties provides comprehensive, personalized services to meet your unique needs, even in the hospitality sector. With over a decade of experience, IBEN Properties Limited has built over 4,000 homes and delivered over 20 estates. At IBEN Properties, our customers remain keen. Visit IBEN Properties Limited at plot 486 Wale Shoyinka Avenue, 2nd Avenue, Gwarimpa Estate, Abuja, in the Federal Capital Territory, or call 0826 811 5962 or 0813 774 2817. IBEN Properties Limited, affordable and luxurious homes. It's good to have you back. The program is still Scorecard. Remember, if you're just joining us, today we're looking at housing and housing development. Our guest is Chief Andy ELEREWE, an entrepreneur and leader in the housing development sector. So you've talked about policies, what the government should do. Let's look at collaboration. Don't actually mention the government, and there may be international partners. Is there anything like that?
Well, there is, but it's not something that is rampant or you can actually take us to build your policy on, because virtually everybody or every country is facing one problem or another. If you go to South Asia, whether it's America, they all have their own issues. Europe is confronted with, there's a global, more or less, recession, and then it's bustling and winding up everybody. So for we here, like developers, we've been able to come up with some strategies that we're using. A few of us that have been able to raise our head beyond water, and then we've been able to go around this paucity of funds and then continue to maintain some level of tempo, is because we worked around synergies. There are a couple of projects that I'm doing that right now we know that the lands are not affordable, so one person might not be able to buy them. So we come together, more or less, and then we buy it and then distribute it. In fact, that's so rampant these days. That's what's going on these days now. Developers coming together to buy lands and then build them, because these lands you can't get them, you can't access them. The government is not going to give you land. They've seen it as a very serious resources and a way of also settling themselves, whatever. But we have to continue to be in business, and one of the basic things.
Why would government give you land? What is their responsibility to give you land?
Okay, so that's a very tricky issue, and I wouldn't want us to get into that in the sense that there's a land policy.
You know what?
Land, the politicized land
is causing the demolition right now.
Yeah,
because a lot of people fell into wrong hands, thinking that some of these lands were owned by people. Just come with papers, and you're supposed to have gone to FCDA to verify, and it's supposed to be a government land.
Talking about the demolition, if I may just say one or two things about it, that issue will continue to be a topical issue for a long time to come, and then you don't even know who to blame. A certain component of government, that's AMAC, will say that they've given allocation out as at when they had the right to give allocation, and then these succeeding governments comes in and said, look, what they feel is that whether you gave or not, you didn't have a right then and now to give allocation. So the issue right now is that who is right? So for us, we don't see AMAC, we don't see them in isolation of other. They're also part of the component of government. So if they give allocation by our standard, we probably should feel that such allocation should stand, isn't it? So, but what this government is saying is that it's only the minister, in quote now, that has the power and the wherewithal to give allocation. So whatever allocation that has been given have been issued, and the thing is not built, is non-void. I mean, that statement, I think for me, that's why I keep saying it's subjective. We'll continue to look at it, debate it, and then we'll leave it for the legal luminaries to really find out who exactly is right. And then who should, whether if the area council, being the customary land, if they are giving those allocations as at that time, whether indeed those such allocations given as at when they had the right to give them, such allocations should still stand now or not. And that's why you have that demolition. But for me, I feel that if you really want to look at it critically, apart from the fact that the minister is probably want to set a precedent and then is trying to create a scenario that will debar people from going into customary land, I think there are there are better ways you can approach this instead of demolishing houses.
Okay, let's come to my turf, civil servants.
Okay.
In what ways do you think the bottlenecks that have stood as impediments into civil servants owning their own houses be nipped in the bud?
See, the fundamental problem with civil servants is money. I mean, let's be honest, they are poorly paid. Do you get? If you have to look at it, if you dissect the issue thoroughly, you realize that their pay home can't even take them anywhere. They can barely even pay for their school or do whatever before you start talking. So if you must provide houses for civil servants, go and look at their housing allowance. It's way, way poor that he can't even rent a house. How much more owning a house?
I find it difficult to understand why mortgages can work in other climes and it doesn't seem to be working here. Civil servants have deductions from their salaries on a monthly basis and it's supposed to be for mortgage. But you can't even get the houses with mortgage.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay, fine. Let's talk about mortgage. Now that you have brought it up, it's a fundamental issue, critical issue, burning issue that we need to talk about. Because in other climes, you can't go buy houses from, like you buy from the shelf. You have to buy it through mortgages. What is mortgage? Mortgage is a institution where you buy houses and then you pay in installments. I mean, whether you like it or not, that is the basic definition of a mortgage. Somebody is going to stand in the gap for you. He buys the house on your behalf, and then you pay the person, gradually for a long time. Then you will have primary, and then we have secondary mortgage. Now, primary mortgage is supposed to be like the FMBN. Those who have the money, government has given them huge capital by way of budget or by way of allocation or something. And then this huge funds that is with them, they are supposed to also adjudicate it, plus the fund they get from civil servants. A certain percentage of them, like a contribution, they put these things together. I think they have informal sector now too. Within a certain time, you continue to contribute. Certain part of your salary will be contributed, and then you become qualified for you to be able to apply, and then you get it. But where is the problem? The problem is that we have a very paltry sum amount that is being contributed. And to be honest, I don't envy them. They may be doing their best, but their best is not good enough, and it can never be good enough. Because if you look at the number of people who are chasing mortgage, the number of people who require mortgage is so huge compared to how much mortgages we are creating. We are creating very few mortgages. And then you are looking at people who want, so there's no way it's going to be enough. So to be honest, I quite sympathize with the civil servants. They're doing so much for the country, and then they deserve so much more. But the perennial problem is that they are not earning money.
Let's now look at your own scorecard. Despite the challenges in the sector, what do you look back at as IBEN, as a property manager, as IBEN, to say, I give myself a pat on the back. I think I'm right.
Okay, so without doubt, I have to be honest with you. We're going to be 10 years this year, and I say it with all sense of humility that we've done so well for ourselves. In the last 10 years, we've been able to provide estates per year. In fact, we do 2 estates in 1 year. I mean, that's huge. That's monumental. And then recently we went into the business of hospitality. As I speak to you, we are building 3 hotels. This is just one of them. The one in Guarimpa, we have one in Jabi, we have one in Airport Road, and then we have in Lagos. So for me, you have to look at all of that. You can say we're not without challenges, no doubt. We have our own challenges. We have where we have been able to set our goals that we still need to meet. But in all fairness, I think IBEN has done so well. And then again, to cap it all, the fact that, and then it's not just about making money, it's about fulfillment. For us, we are seriously fulfilled, and then we thank God for the sense of direction. We have been able to provide houses for close to about 10,000 people, and then they have their own houses that's been facilitated by us. So it's something that is very exciting. We are very happy about it. But it's just the beginning. We have another 5-year plan that we have. We think that we've been able to put things together. Right now, what we intend to do is to see how we can broaden our scope and then continue to build more houses, especially multifunctional buildings that can help to beautify the skyline and then put us where we truly deserve.
Taking a look at the future, where would you want to see the housing sector in Nigeria, looking at sector players like you and maybe the off-takers as well?
All right, so basically, housing will continue to be a priority, whether you look at it or not, because as an African, one of the major things for us is land, and land eventually becomes valuable when you put house on it. So if you ask me, just like you did, in the next couple of years, what will be, I see a sector that will become bustling. I see a sector that will have opened up, that will have more players. I see a sector that will eventually continue to provide more mortgages. I see a sector that will become so positively competitive that houses, there will be so many alternative building methods that will force down prices of houses, and then it become, reachable for so many people, including civil servants like you. I see a sector that will crave equality. I see a sector that will continue to help to increase the GDP. I see a sector that will be the basis for providing employment in the country. So I have no doubt in my mind that we are on the right path, and then the policies are there. It's just that we need to be much more positive. We need to find a way to be a little bit more aggressive about it, and we will be there at the end of the day.
What advice do you have for those who want to go into the real estate business in Nigeria?
All right. I mean, people ask me this all the time, and I have one answer.
I want to go into it.
I have one answer for them. You can't miss it. It's a fantastic sector. Couldn't have asked for anything better. It's wonderful. It's a sector that will stabilize you. If you need funds, it's a sector that will help you to grow financially. If you need residual income when eventually you retire, it's a sector that promises you that. If you need even to be closer to government, it's a sector that can help to push your brand. So as far as I'm concerned, my one-stop answer to that is that just be focused. You're on the right track. Continue to dream and then work very hard towards it. Go close to people who have become established. Try to see if you can serve them. Ride on their brands. And then in no time, you will have your own.
One very important question that just came to my mind.
Okay.
How do you differentiate between a real estate agent and a fake one? Because people have fallen into the hands of fake people and their monies just go like that.
Okay, so the truth is this, there is one thing in real estate that people don't understand. The onus is on the buyers. That's why it's called buyers beware. So if you want to buy anything, it is your own duty to ensure that you make due diligence. The whole thing is there. It's just that people don't want to go through that hog. You can't sit in the comfort of your house and you don't do proper checks, you don't do proper search, and then you want to buy houses. No, it's not going to work. And should there be anything, you will have to also be part of the blame because it is buyers beware. So what I'm saying in essence is that there will always be fake realtors, fake developers, those who promise. It's just like any other sector. Those who promise what they can't do. But the onus lies on you to be able to do adequate and sufficient due diligence. How do you do it? In Abuja here, go to the right authorities. Agencies there. Conduct a search. They will give you a search report that will tell you history of that plot. And then deal after you must have done due diligence. And then you'll be fine.
Finally, your words to Nigerians and the government.
All right. For me, to government, I'll start with. Government has to take real estate seriously. Government should use real estate, should see it as a tool that they can use to solve their security problem. They can use to solve their unemployment problem. They can use to be able to stabilize the country. So when they start seeing real estate from that perspective, they will be serious about solving the problems in it, which are correcting the anomalies with land administration, and then providing subsidies like I earlier mentioned, and then possibly bailout, possible synergies with those in the sector. For the players in the industry, I'll just tell them, look, if you're already in it, continue to aspire higher. If you want to come in, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, listener. This is where we end this edition of Scorecard on the network service of Radio Nigeria. I want to thank you so much, Chief Andy ELEREWE, for joining us.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
He's an entrepreneur and leader in the housing development sector.
Thank you, sir.
On that note, we end this edition of Scorecard. It came to you on the network service of Radio Nigeria. Thanks for listening. Scorecard is open for sponsorship or suggestion. Contact us via call, text or WhatsApp on 0806 831 2071 or 081 607 67464. Our production team includes Aunda Hemba On'i and Joy Ubi. My name is Fubara Pepple. Keep a date with us next week for another edition of Scorecard. Bye for now.